Voila, chat room's on.
Chat room, what's it all about?
Let's start.
Chat room, what's it all about?
Let's start.
Morality. There's still any left.
Life is about choices.
Everyone has an opinion.
Debate is always good. Let's chat about it. Let's start.
Nyanbingelela nonke makhaya, you in the chat room once again with me, Sarah Tavete, right here on SABC1 Mzansi for sure. Now you know how we do on the chat room. If you've got a moral dilemma, sibhalele, email us, and we'll get one of our experts to assist you so that ukwazi ukwenza an informed decision. Stories ka Ruth no Naomi in the Bible has inspired many and for many centuries. Stories is Joel, where Ruth knew ukuthi responsibility yake was to take care of umamazala wake even after her husband had passed on. So times have changed, and the majority of many women in South Africa is that they have to work outside of the home. Again, most families are now faced with the challenge of how to best take care of their elderly family members. So more and more black families also are now looking at the option of old age homes. Urifile Murairane has found herself looking for an old age home. Basically, she's in a position where she needs to try and find the best available environment for her 96-year-old grandmother. She says sending her grandmother to an old age home has been met with resistance from family members and the stigma from the community. So let's take a look and hear more on Refile's story.
Urifilwe Mureriani, no kokolano Rebecca Makate, ona 96 and isiZulu sakhe. Ngibhalele ku chat room because bengifuna ukuthi ugogo sibe nama options ukuthi simikisa e home uzohlala ekhaya njoba angathandi ukuya e old age home.
Anifuna ukuya e old age home ngoba ngifuna uba ekhaya. Nginesihlobo sami ezininzi zamnakekela abazukulu.
The idea came about when sibona ukuthi like safety yakagogo, si concern kakhulu nge safety ukuthi masingekho endlini naye sisemsebenzini because of also si young and asikwazi kakhulu asina lwazi ukunakekela abantu abadala. Ekubeni old age banolwazi bayakwazi ukuthi ugogo kumele anakekelwe kanjani. So besifuna ukuthi kahle kahle priority bekuyi safety.
Ndiva ndi-safe mansekhaya ngoba ndikhulile ndibasopa oosister bami nami bazami basopa abaninzi bazamnakekela.
Family feels ukuthi we can't force ugogo ukuthi aye old age because also sifuna be happy. So maka happy ekhaya then ayeke sikhona ukumforce, but ama options bokuthi vele for safety yakhe isikhathi esiphila kuso manje si busy, like we don't have time so kumnakekela. As black people trying to take ugogo home, iba ngathi uyamlahla awusafuna ukuthi abe nawe. But because of his lifestyle isiziphilayo manje asikhona vele ukuba nabo. Bengicela i-chat room ukuthi isincede isibonisa ama-advantage nama-disadvantage ukumikisa umuntu omdala old age home, and also ukuthi abantu abamnyama singasasabi ukumikisa abantu abadala kuma-old age home.
So, Wenage, what is your view? Would you send your elderly family member to an old age home? Please do have your say on Facebook, on Twitter, and on the chatroom.co.za. As always, we've got hashtags, and hashtag the chatroom is one of them. The other, hashtag old age homes. Masbuyage will be joined by Urifile right here in the chatroom studio. We'll be right back.
Debate is always good. Let's chat about it. Let's start. Debate is always good. Let's chat about it. Let's start.
Welcome back. If you've just tuned in, you're in the chat room right here on SABC1. And namhlanje, we're talking old age homes. What are we asking? Well, we're asking, is it okay to take your elderly members, family members, to an old age home? Now, before the breaks, in introduce it to Urifile, who's come to the chat room today to find out, Uguti, what are the pros and cons of old age homes and why people are against her considering this as an option for her grandmother. So to tackle this issue here in studio, we've got Jubilee Klo from Age in Action. We're also joined by Usisnigi Webam from Contralesa. as well as Umam Claudine Mufukeng, a professional counselor. So your views are just as important. So Kuluman Nati, chat to us, interact with us. Our hashtags are on the screen right now. Hashtag the chat room and hashtag old age homes. So also post on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you everyone for coming through today on the chat room. Siyabonga. Why do you think people are giving you such gripe about taking Ukoko to an old age home? Even to a point to you doubting a decision you probably just considered maybe it's just the right thing to do.
Well, at first it was not even an issue because we were there. Like there's younger sisters to me who were taking care of her. But now recently they're all employed and they don't have the means to be taking care of her throughout the day. So that's when I started thinking about taking her to an old age home and considering that she'll be in a safe place most of the time when we're not there.
What are they saying to you?
They're really like not interested in knowing about old age homes and how they operate.
Is this more your family?
Yes, it's mostly my family, and they think that it's not even, we shouldn't even be considering it. Yes, so that's the problem I'm having right now.
Mom Claudine, do you find that this is the general feel amongst, especially black families, ukuthi mau consider
You know, most of it comes from the role that elderly people play in the family.
Okay.
They are the go-to person. They are the ones who are preserving the culture. When there's a funeral or a wedding, that's who we consult. And because it's not us, you know, it feels like abandonment. But most of it really, I wish at the end of this program, we can be able to say what's good about it, when is it okay.
Sis Nikki,
Yes.
value, Mama has mentioned value abantu abadala, etc. The reality, the environment is not conducive. What is your stance with regards to this?
So, like maskula, it's always a blessing ukuhlala nomuntu omdala. Like umama esho la ukuthi ngabe sifunda kubi culture yethu, ngabo aba who always share some stories with us, and ngabo aba a source of wisdom ukuthi singafunda something kubo if we get stuck somewhere around. And umuntu omdala wants to spend time with the grandchildren and so on. So uma umthatha umsa kwenye indawo, it's like uyamlahla because okokuqala she has to adapt to that environment, and ungathola ukuthi efika lapha akazuhlala isikhathi eside mhlambe ebezohlala mayihlele ekhaya.
What do you do in a situation yokuthi ugogo now doesn't have people to look after her?
Ucela umuntu, because angithi nasekhaya we always have helpers. So I think the same thing ongayenza nje ukuthi umcelele umuntu ozomgada ugogo.
Okay. Julie, what would your take be on that view that, yes, we acknowledge that the circumstances have changed, people need to go work, but that you should never have to take your grandmother to an old age home. And I guess you would say in the African culture, we live as a community, so there should always be somebody to look after granny if it's about that, because they're far more valuable to the family, even in their old age.
All right, to better respond to what Refilo has just said, I think we need to answer 3 questions. The first one would be, what is a residential facility for older person, or what is an old age home? And why do we place our older persons in an old age home? And thirdly, what are the procedures that happens when we place an older person in an old age home? And I will base my answers on the Older Persons Act 13 of 2006, which is a legislation that governs issues relating to older persons. For the first question, I would say an old age home is a residential facility. It's a place of residence that is registered with the Department of Social Development, which means that place must be registered. When we say it must be registered, it means it must be seen or found to have complied with all the necessary norms and standards that are set by the Act. So not all old age homes that are in the communities everywhere are registered. So communities first must make sure, or families must make sure that that residential facility is compliant? And secondly, why do we send our older persons to old age homes? Remember, the Older Persons Act states that older persons must stay in their communities for as long as possible. These people, they are not people, they are part of who we are. They are part of our heritage. They are citizens with full rights, and they should be treated like that. The best place is basically at home. But remember, why do we remove? I'm still coming to that question. We remove because of safety. Remember, the Older Persons Act is about promotion and protection of the rights of older persons. They need to be protected. The social, emotional, physical, medical well-being must be taken care of.
Can I come
Living
in
with
there, Sarah? The structure of family has changed in South Africa. We've got child-headed families. We've got a large part of children being looked after by these very grannies. So it's children, it's grannies. The middle people are not there. That has forced us to look into alternative care. So it's home, but there might not be love because there are no people.
And I like the way you call alternative care.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And we make the best of what we have.
Rufila, your response?
I just wanted to make it a point also that Ukoko, as she is 96, she's still very strong, she's still very capable. So in the future, as she goes and her health deteriorates, we want to know that if we take her to an old age home, she's going to be well taken care of in terms of medication and all of those things. And we're also aware that in old age homes, there are programs for elderly people who what they need, and they do active aging, and there's also all sorts of programs that are designed for them. So also we'd like to know that all those programs, they're there to benefit her, and that we're not just going to leave her there. We're just going to leave her there so that we just forget about her. She's also going to be part of the programs that are in the old age home for her health, also for her well-being.
Sister Jolene, I'd like you to tell me something, Jubilee, sorry. Can you tell me what are some of the reasons that your organization has had to move elderly people from a family environment to an alternative one?
One is out of neglect, pure neglect, either by the family or by the community. We've had cases where older persons were killed right in their houses, right under the watchful eye of the community. We've had cases where older persons were raped right in the communities. We had cases where older persons were robbed of their own SASSA cards, their pensions, their belongings, by their own family members. We had cases where children of the very same older person are fighting over, everything. They're even pushing her to go to an old age home so that they can sell the house and share the money amongst themselves, you see. So that's why I'm saying it's very important to understand why do you want to place. It's very important to understand what's happening when you place, and it's also important that you understand that the same programs that are in the old age homes are the same programs that are also in the communities.
So I'm going to go for a quick commercial break, and when we come back, I think I'd like us to start looking at solutions so that we can help Rufile make an informed decision as well. So when I get Ungaindawa, please give us your view. When, or is it okay, rather, to take an elderly family member to an old age home? We need your comments. We want to hear what you've got to say about this. We want to hear you on Twitter, on Facebook, on thechatroom.co.za. Our hashtags again, hashtag the chatroom and hashtag old age homes. We'll be back after the break.
Debate is always good. Let's chat about a start. Debate is always good. Let's chat about a start.
Welcome back. If you've just tuned in, you're in the chat room, and today we're asking, is it okay to send our elderly members to old age homes? So we want to see Ugutu Urufila walks away having decided maybe utoli information, but what is she going to do, Magabuyele Kaya, and how she's going to face her family with regards to this dilemma. Sis Jubilee, can you just give us some of the things that one should consider or take into account when you're sitting like Refilwe, weighing the options of whether to keep your elderly person at home or put them in alternative care?
Okay. First of all, you need to remember that it's not a forceful measure. It must be something that Ugogo feels comfortable about. It's not your choice, it is her choice. Because being old does not mean that you're not normal. Yes. Unless if she's not in the right state of mind to take her own decision, yes. But then it must be Gogo's decision whether she wants to go to a residential facility or not.
What if Gogo is in the right state of mind, but Gogo's Gogo, and you know, she's thinking this is a familiar environment, I want to be here, but when are you seeing what's best for Gogo? What are some of the things that you're looking out for? But Gogo now can't do this for us as much as she wants to. I don't have the time. What are some of the things that must say, maybe possibly consider alternative care?
Remember, when it comes to placement, there's assessment, there's counseling, there's advices that we will give you. We cannot force Gogo, that's one thing sure. We cannot force her to go to an old age home.
Briefly, take me through the sequence of events. Someone like Refilwe coming to you to say, here's my dilemma. What would the procedure be, and what are the possible alternative care institutions or places that are available to an elderly person?
Okay, first of all, remember when Refilwe comes to our office, or to the social worker's office, there'll always be an intake. There will be a home visit that is conducted. Gogo will be interviewed. And it is not because Refilwe came to the office that we will decide that Gogo must be placed. You get what I'm trying to say? The family will be contacted. Even the extended families will be contacted to make sure that we are on the same page as far as placement is concerned. But the utmost importance is that Gogo must be the principal decision maker
of where she goes.
Of where she goes.
So, what other options are there for elderly people?
Thank you. Can I mention a few options that are there in the communities? Right now, as we're speaking, we are coming up with programs right in the communities. We have this program that has been introduced that is called Adopt a Gogo program, where community members adopt Gogos and Kulus in their own communities. They take care of their socio-economic needs every day. They go and check them every day, just to check if Gogo has eaten, if Gogo has taken her medication, if Gogo wants something, you know. So they stimulate them, they socialize with them. So it's one other option that can be looked at.
So, Sis Nikiwe, in closing, the importance yabantu ukuthi ukushonela kagogo ashonele endlini. What is that about the African culture? Or is it because uzobanga jablang umoya wakhe? If ugogo umoya wakhe right in an old age home, does that then make it okay?
Okay, ushonela phambi kwabo bani, ngubani umvala amehlo. Because kuthi bibalekile lanto ukuthi umuntu omdala mayeshona uzolanda yonke ifamily. Ngifuna uRefilwe la uthola ukuthi umuntu omdala kangeza azakhululeka umoya wakhe omunye engekho la, you understand? So kudala bezikhona leza izinto that we value so much ukuthi umuntu uyayolela or noba mhlambe umuntu akasayolelanga akasashonga ukuthi bantwana bamfuneke kwenzeke 1 2 3 mhlambe uyashona, but the fact that ukuthi ushonela phambi kwefamily yakhe, it should make yena ukuthi alale aphumule, you understand? So we cannot silibale ngezazinto ukuthi bayaqalekisa abantu abadala and bayakwazi ukubusisa. Nibusisekile ninemisebenzi, why ningakwazi uinvesta back to this person until aze abe uyahamba emhlabeni?
Okay. Mom Claudine, we are happy Refilwe going back home. She's going to be faced with the community as well as her family once she engages in this discussion again. What would you like her, what must she take with her going home?
The aim is for Refilwe to go back home, knowing that everything, this discussion is just about Gogo's welfare, what she wants, her safety and everything. Because I think basically we should ask ourselves, why are we sitting here? We're sitting here because the situation is not normal and we need to talk about it. So going back home, she has that in mind and she can share with the family. How best do we preserve whatever is left of Gogo?
How should she start? Like, how do you get them emotionally ready to be able to engage in a discussion such as this? All for its best interest, Yaga Gogo.
You know, I think what we didn't touch on is the reality of the dilemma they have. They've got guilt because they're thinking of doing what's not ordinary.
Sure. Well, I think it's also the honesty between each other in terms of what we can do without being able to be, without being judged as to how far you can. Because maybe I'm people.
Exactly.
But I love her. But I'm actually not going to be able to do it. Doesn't mean. So let me rather, because Mfuna Abe clean, told someone else alone, that's how much I love her. Then I'm so guilty because, oh, you don't love thingy because you won't do it yourself.
It's socialization. But she said it. She said, get an older person who's better able to deal with the situation. But if you want to go deeper, what if there's no older person? That's what we're talking about here.
Jubilee, let me give you a chance and close.
I would say to Refilwe must seek professional, help. Let's say she must look at she must consult with the experts regarding this issue. As far as placement is concerned, go for research on what is happening in the old age homes, research what is happening as far as the programs that are there in her community. There are home-based caregivers who make sure that they bathe the Gogos if you cannot. You see, there are helpers that, there are people. There's this woman in the community that is so keen on helping people without funds. You see, so that's why I'm saying it's not easy for. There are some decisions that are not cut and dry. You cannot just say, you know what, take the Gogo to. She still has to find herself first. The family needs to come down to a certain level together, have a common understanding of the whole thing.
Before ngizwa ku-Refilwe because I'm kuzogcina ngayo ithi ngibuye Mama Claudine and then I'm going to close. Yes.
You know, you've said something. The drive that the HIV and AIDS is getting, I think it's high time we took it to the elderly.
Yes.
Because there's home-based care. Every home-based care group is for HIV. Let there be HIV, home-based care for the elderly.
Yes.
I think we'll go somewhere.
Yes. All righty. So a lot has been said, but I think great things. I think you're definitely going to leave here with you're going to make an informed decision. What are you going to do?
At the moment, I'm going to take all the information that I have gotten now and I'll take it back to the family and we're going to discuss it some more. Then we can make informed decision for Gogo.
Ladies, thank you so much for joining us today in the chat room. Siyabonga kakhulu. I thoroughly enjoyed this discussion and I'm sure you have at home. And it's a serious dilemma that we face in our communities. We want to hear what your perspective is. So let us know on Twitter and on Facebook and on all our social media sites on the chatroom.co.za. Our hashtags are on the screen right now. From me, Sarah Tabete, and the rest of the chatroom team, goodbye and God bless.